It's open. Getting back into the golf season, which is kind of fun. I still have to get my breakthrough win. I've only played 2 weeks and did okay 1 week and badly the next one. Sheets, how's golf been treating you? And any overall thoughts on this one before we?
I had like a top 5 lineup for like several days in the lottery that I was sweating, and eventually just kind of faded away. But those are always kind of fun. Yeah. So this is a very okay. So this is a great tournament because it's the first tournament in months where you've had a combination of a good field, a regular two-day cut, and a relatively difficult golf course. Okay, we've had these mini golf courses like the last like couple of weeks with like -30s and -28s and stuff like that, and before that we had like all these playoffs, before we ended the season, So this is the first kind of pure course. So it's really challenging us to say, okay, the guys that we've seen just like light it up in the last like 2 or 3 months or whatever on these weird tracks and these weird structures, how are they going to play on a freaking tough course, against some tough competition? And I was watching a lot of content for this tournament actually, and it's pretty interesting, man. Like you from what I hear, you really have to hit the ball. Okay. You got, and that's not been the case for the last like 6 tournaments, it seems. Right. You need to have distance. And one way it was described, it's kind of interesting. They have very, very short fairways there. So you would think that, very thin fairways. So you would think that you would want to prioritize accuracy, but it's kind of the opposite because it's going to be really tough to hit the fairway anyway. You may as well be further down the course, and if a lot of people are going to miss the fairways, the people with a lot of distance also have the power to hack the thing out of the rough a little bit better, Right. So it's not going to be like that tournament where just go play Brandon Todd or whatever. I don't even think he's playing or whatever. But where you just everybody's in the same spot, and it's just a wedge game and then a putting contest. You have a really good golfer, and you got to be able to hit it good. And then there's also the I forget how to pronounce the Polana greens, which are different, And if you don't have experience on that, it's going to be challenging. And then you have all these narratives, all the Torrey Pines narratives, and you have the California guys, and then not only that, you had like just huge rain. Right. There's no way they're going to postpone it. But it's definitely makes for an interesting day one, to say the least. So I'm curious to see where we should have Kenny on here because he's like the man right now. I'm curious to see where you come out on all this. And there are a couple of kind of guys when we get to them in the range that I think we should really talk about in light of all the things I just said. So let's I guess we'll just get started here.
Yeah, let's do it. So what over 10K? We've got the 4 guys this week, and I think you're going to see somewhat spread out ownership. They all look pretty good. Who do you have if you had to pick your priorities?
They do, and they do look all look pretty good. And I was kind of hoping that one of them would emerge as like the highest owned, but no such luck. I'm getting literally like the band. I have like the lowest owned of those 4 is 21, and the highest is 23. Right. So no such luck. You're just gonna have to go with who you like the best. What I'm gonna suggest is that, as usual, that I'm gonna say that Xander just gets a little more ownership than he projects for, because he just usually does. And I'm also going to project that maybe Morikawa gets a little more ownership as well. I think that Cantlay, he came off that just atrocious Sunday.
Yeah, terrible Sunday.
Maybe he gets ignored a little bit. And I don't know, maybe Homa is a little less, but again, it's not that big a deal. So I guess if I had to pick one, I don't know, I guess I would say Homa just for no reason. Maybe just because he's the cheapest. But all 4 of those guys I think are pretty are very much in play.
Yep. I'm with you. I guess if I had to pick, my preference is definitely Homa number 1. Number 2 for me would be Xander. Number 3 would be Cantlay. Number 4 Morikawa. But like you said, very thin between them all. I definitely will have significantly more Homa than I do the rest of them.
Okay.
He plays great here. This is his time of year. This is when he looks like the number 1 player in the world. And then we go into the middle of the summer and we're like, wait a minute, what happened to him? But I think this is a good spot for Homa. So he's my favorite, but I do, like you said, I like all of them. I don't think that any of them are necessarily the wrong answer. Maybe you could argue that Morikawa hasn't played as much recently. That's the one thing that might hold him a little bit back. But all right, we also have a pretty decent 9K range, which I've got some pretty strong takes on this one. But I think again, they all are expected to have some ownership. So I'm curious at who you're.
Yeah. So this is what I want to talk about. So let's identify Aberg or Elberg, whatever, for as an example. Okay. So he's a guy who is 9,700. He's owned enough, like 13%, 14%, whatever it is. And he profiles well, like he hits the ball far, whatever it is. But he's never played the course, I don't believe. And he's honestly like, he hasn't really shown out against the toughest competition on these courses. And he hasn't really been that great anyway the last couple of weeks. I wonder, where you separate that. Like he should be good, but maybe, I'm not going to say this, but maybe the last couple of months is an illusion. Maybe he was against the weaker of competition, maybe. But then again, he did play in the World Hero, whatever, with everybody else that was good. What do you do with a guy like him? That's a very interesting question. Like Sun J.M., he again doesn't necessarily profile the greatest. And then you have Jason Day, who to me, I mean, he feels like the guy that you'd want to play. He's been around. He plays tough courses well. He hits the ball far and all this stuff. He's had success and all that stuff. And then like you take Eric Cole. He's another one that I think about. He's not exactly the same as Aber, but Cole has been sitting there just like grinding out the top 20s. But in like these, I don't want to say easy events, but your events, right? And I'm just not sure if he's the type of guy that you want to play in this type of spot. So this whole 9K range seems very, I don't want to say fishy, but it seems pretty fadeable. And Finau, as you know, is always fadeable. Right? So I'm curious where you come out on like my analysis. Somebody like an Aberg, who he's looked great, but this is like a different animal, So I don't know. What do you think of this 9K?
Yeah, so I've got Minwoo as the number one. I'm huge on Minwoo this year, as I've mentioned. If you get a course that actually does suit, a guy can hit the ball as far as anybody on the course. Yep. So I do like Minwoo, and I like that he's a little bit cheaper than the other guys. And I think that to be honest, I actually think I might be doing a different type of build because I am not getting to as much of the other 9K guys. I think I can make a good case, like you said. You made some for each of them. But I think Aberg, even without having played there, Jason Day and Finau are my three next guys. But that doesn't mean that I necessarily am going to play many of them. I think I like Minwoo better. And I think if I was forced, to pick one of the other ones, Jason Day or Finau would be the guys I would probably roll with the most. I'm not going to say that those guys are significantly better than Eric Cole or Sung J M, but I'm not just going to go into this and do the exact same ownership of everybody in the field and hope somehow I end up with the nuts. You know what I mean? I want to make some stances, and Minwoo is. Anytime I get the opportunity, I always try to overload him, and this is a spot where I'll definitely do that. Okay, down in the 8K range, that's actually pretty strong today, and I think, or this week, I think this is going to be significantly less owned, and this is sort of what I was thinking is maybe going and spending a little more down here.
Why don't you start with the 8Ks then?
So I'll go Keegan Bradley. I know it's going to be a popular play, but I really like it this week. And who is my next one? Sepp Straka. I actually do kind of like Hideki, but I mean that's always, you never know. And then my upset sneaky one was Højgaard. I thought he'd be a little bit cheaper, but he profiles well. But again, hasn't played the course, hasn't played particularly well on American soil in general. So those were the main ones who stuck out for me. But really like Keegan, and then I think all the Europeans are somewhat interesting. I didn't know what to do with Daniel Berger yet. I think that it's just time not to play him until. Oh, I did forget my other play. I am not fading Will Zalatoris at Torrey Pines. I don't care. He looked a little better last week. That's good enough for me. I am totally in on Zalatoris. So Zalatoris will be along with Bradley, will be my two most owned players in this range.
Yeah. Okay. So again, this is like kind of my concept is tough course, who can play a tough course, and this is a guy that I don't play all too often, and you play more than I do, but I'm kind of down with Hideki at 8,500. Listen, and this is the battle I fight with myself every week. Like, I have these projections up here, which tell me one story. Then I hear some good content, which tells me a story. Then I have my own kind of gut, which tells me a story, and how to kind of incorporate all of that. And granted, the Hideki play is less data driven than anything, but if we're gonna play guys that play tough courses well and whatever, I mean, he can win the thing. You know what I mean? Like, he just can. So I like that. And another guy who you touched on, I think he's going to end up being maybe a little too chalky for me, but we'll see. But Zalatoris at 8K, I mean, he could definitely win the whole thing. So I like that. I'm a little more optimistic, I guess, on Berger maybe than you are.
Okay.
I mean, I played him a little bit last week, and he was perfectly reasonable. He was good, and he's been around the block, and he plays well everywhere. So I like that. Straka, not as much. So, and I don't know if I could do the Højgaard thing. I never really played Justin Rose either. A guy that I'll just tell you is like showing up in my projections that looks really good. And I just don't. I mean, I'm going to get to him, whatever. I don't know much about him as far as this course, but Adrian Moronk is showing up for me. Mm-hmm. So it's like, again, you have this combination of different types of plays. And I've heard good cases made for Harris English, and you can't play everybody, okay? Right. So I think I'm going to prioritize two guys from the, stepping up on the big course thing. That would be Hideki and Zalatoris. Mm-hmm. And then I'll throw Moronk in just because he profiles well in my sheet. So I would say Moronk, Matsuyama, and Zalatoris would be my top three from the range.
I like that. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. And also, you get a little different just with some of the ownership. I don't like you said about Hideki. Like, he's not projected well. He's not going to be owned. We've seen this story before. I'm telling you, whatever percentage he looked like he's going to be owned today, he's going to be owned less. He goes the other way. He's the opposite of the Schauffele. Yeah. All right, 7,500 to 7,900.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with this. There's a lot of guys 7,500 and above. Again, you talk about the guy that profiles well in this. I think he's going to be the hipster player of the week. He's currently projected at 5%. I think he's going to end up being 15 once more steam comes in, and that would be Ryan Fox. He hits at 400 miles. He's only 7,500. He's kind of like the DFS content provider darling. So Ryan Fox, I think I like him, but just watch for late ownership changes as the day goes on. Keith Mitchell, I can't resist. Definitely have to play him. I don't think this is really a Ben Griffin type of deal, so I don't think I'm going to do that, nor the Adam Svensson. I'm going to be forced to play Grillo this week, I think, just because. So it's going to be Grillo, Fox, and Mitchell. Shane Lowry, I mean, I'm not getting to him, but I'm not going to bother anybody if they do. And Luke List, I think, is also going to be a guy that might end up being a little bit too popular for me. So let me just summarize. Mitchell, Fox, and I guess Grillo would be my three favorites.
Yeah. Okay. So interesting. I had Fox written down. I had Mitchell written down, and I look. This may be just stupid thinking. It's just about guys who are really good golfers who are just I don't know what you call it, underpriced or what you want to call it. But Shane Lowry at 7,900 just piqued my interest a little bit. Yeah. Just one of those things. I like Ben Griffin. I'm high on him in general, but I kind of agree with you that this is maybe not the perfect place. So I think that the guy I'm going to end up using the most is probably going to be Keith Mitchell in this range. I also do like Jaeger a little bit, and that's again, I like Svensson in general, but this is not the course. I like him on tough courses, but I don't necessarily like him on long courses. I don't know. I'm a little stuck on the Svensson idea. So Fox and Mitchell are probably going to be the two most owned for me. I still will probably have some exposure to some of these other guys, but they aren't standing out like crazy. One guy who does look like he's projected pretty well is Luke List. He's got the ability to he also just like literally shoot like 5 over on one hole. And then I just want to mention a little shout out to Ryo Hisatsun. Since you mentioned his name, all he's done has been like one of the best golfers in the world. And he was in my good lineups the week before, and he was in Kenny's winning lineup last week. So he's been really good. All right, but look, Grillo. Maybe I'll have to revisit that one. I think I'm more going to look at these the 7K to 7,500 at super low ownership than I am at that 75 to 8,000 range. What do you have from 7 to 7,500? I'm guessing not a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to limit myself because I do think that one of these guys, like you said, one of these guys is probably going to get in there. So I'm going to limit myself to 5. There's like 20 you could choose from here. So I'm going to say Taylor Moore, Michael Kim, just because he's from there, I guess. Justin Suh, he played in California. I think he was UCLA, maybe? I don't know. USC, something. Justin Suh.
Yeah, I think he was.
Okay. And then I'll give 2 more. Nick Hardy, he hits it far. And then, this would be nice if he could get it, if he could do something. Because he's only 7K. I don't know, man. Two off the brain surgery. Gary Woodland.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's a rough one. But yeah, listen, for 7K, I'll throw him in. So those 5. So it'd be Hardy, Woodlands, Suh, Moore, and Michael Kim.
Okay, so I had the Moore in there, and I had the Kim. So I was glad to hear you say those names. I have Moore as my favorite. And I have Aaron Rye like as 1A for my favorite for this range. Really like Aaron Rye this week. Expect a big year out of him. And you get really low ownership on all these guys. So Rye, Kim, and Moore are my three highest owned ones. I'm still deciding what I want to do elsewhere, but don't have anybody that stands out in a major way. Another shout out to another guy you mentioned as one of your plays for us a couple weeks ago. KH Lee has dominated the last 2 weeks as well.
Okay.
So just throwing that out there. Not that it means anything this week. Just wanted to throw it out there. All right, under 7K. Can we get? Do you have anything here?
Sure. Why not? All right. So who's gonna crush it? This would be a fun one. Like this guy like completely blew up on like national television. May I say national television? When I was watching the feed, this guy literally collapsed in front of my very eyes. So Cameron Champ at 6,800.
Okay.
Bramlett at 6,800. These are just.
I thought Bramlett was the one you were talking about because I think Bramlett shot she had like a 7 over hole last week. Or
possible.
Yeah.
So he hits it. He hits it a ton. Those two. Chris Gotterup.
Yeah.
He hits it a ton. I guess those would be. Now those are not going to be the guys I probably picked to just make the cut. But right. those are I think those are my GPP plays.
Yep.
I don't know if I mentioned. Oh, you know, I didn't mention it 7K and up. Actually, I'll save it for when we get to the other part.
Okay. So I've got Bramlett, Carson Young.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Just always plugging Carson Young in for some reason. Dahlman's played here a few times. So has Johnny Vegas. They're just on my list. They're nothing special, but Vegas and Dahlman are both there for a little bit for me. And I'm gonna have like more of a long list of names that I've whittled down. As you know, I'll always say Dylan Wu, Alejandro Tosti at 6,600. These are the guys. You know, look, these are all long shot plays. I'm not gonna play all of them a ton. I'm just gonna probably be sprinkling. Every projection thing loved this Harrison Indy Coot last week, and he was 6,200. And it was really weird because I actually was like, I couldn't believe that the projections were accurate. They had him like priced better, like scoring more than the guys who were anybody in the 7K ranges on Saberson. And I just didn't go with it, but he ended up like, I think in the top 20 and he was 6,200. I'm not playing him this week, just to throw that out there. I'm having a little harder, to be honest, it's a harder time this week to try to find the really ultra cheap guys that I think really have like top 15, top 10 type of stuff. I just don't see it. So Carson Young, Vegas, Dahlman, Bramlett, Carl Yuan, And I already said Norman, and that was for a different price range.
So I have a question before we get into the game at the end. I think we didn't shortchange the 9K range for a little bit. But so you're with me in that this range is less. Is like, I want to say more of a fade or whatever, but like, what do you think of like Aberg, like on this type of like thing in general? You know, do you think that he's like just more of like a guy that, do you think he's like really like a $9,700 golfer in this field, or he's just, you know, a guy that played better in weaker fields?
No, I think that he is. I think he's totally he's as good, as consistent as any of these guys, and it's been a pretty big sample size at this point. So it's not that I'm afraid of playing it, but I do rate that stuff. You know, you never played the course before. It's not like he's 7,800 never playing the course before. He's 9,700. Like,
right.
I'd rather take a shot on the guys who either have or who have already felt, you know, have played competitively with these groups on these tough courses that are similar, whether or not it's been this course or not.
And I'm just going to go back to this. I mean, like Aberg's been great, and Eric Cole has been great, and even Keegan Bradley has been great, and English has been doing well. All those guys are more expensive than Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be forced to try it.
I think that I'm going to do that something similar as well. So all right, let's play the game. We're gonna pick. You could say who's winning it. I don't think we're gonna have the same guy.
I think we are. So you can.
We are.
So you can go first, so I can take the
Homa.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So if it's not gonna be Homa, then I guess I would. I mean, I'm literally flipping a coin, but you know what? Just because he blew up on Sunday, I'll give him a break. I'll go Cantlay.
Okay. What do you have?
All right. So under 10K to come in top 5. I just got to stay on brand here. I'm going to go with Hideki.
So you got the Hideki. I love it. By the way, I think we've done this a million times. I don't think you've ever picked Hideki. I think
I've usually just pick him to miss the cut. I think.
Yeah. I've got Minwoo, but obviously really like both of them. All right, moving over to the top 10.
So under 9K, that to come top 10. You can go first because I know who you're picking.
You think I'm gonna pick? So yeah, I do like Zalatoris, but I actually was gonna pick Keegan Bradley.
So we'll get them both in. So yeah, so you can take Bradley, and I will take Zalatoris.
Okay. And then top 20.
Under 8K. This is a tough one.
This is a tough one.
All right. Just because I think he's going to end up being too hipstery, I'm not going to go with one guy. I don't want to mention his name because then I'll be accused of like going up with too many guys. You know what? I'm just going to go with the guy that you said. I'll go with Shane Lowry.
Okay, so you got Lowry, I got Aaron Rye.
Ooh, all right.
And then
under 7K to make the cut. I just usually just go with my top rated guy for that purpose. Let me just see. Boy, I have like nobody. Oh, here it is. So, damn, I forgot to. All right, I've got to go back to the 7K range again. This guy's not going to make top 20 or whatever it is, but just because I forgot to mention him, Sam Stevens' profile as well is here as well at flat 7K. So I'm definitely using him. But my top rated guy under 7K, I'll just say Vincent Norman. I mean, you mentioned
that's who I have. That's who I have. Yeah. So you have Vincent Norman. That's who I was going to take. So I am going to go ahead and say, who did I have in my next one? Boy, I like. Feels just wrong to say Bramlett. But I mean, that is the one who I don't know. All right, I'm gonna say just because I don't like any of this stuff. I guess I am gonna go Bramlett.
Over 9K to miss the cut.
Over 9K. This is your favorite one always. Let's see. Even though I do like him. I guess I'll say Eric Cole,
and I'll go with the guy you had top 5. I'm gonna go with Minwoo Lee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck to us this week. Remember, the tournament starts tomorrow. Does it start tomorrow night?
No, 11:40 a.m. Eastern.
Okay, so I got to get my stuff together today.
Yeah. For those of you guys who didn't realize why this is because they don't want to play on Sunday against the NFC the championship games.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to everybody. We'll probably do a football thing the next day or so.
We'll do it tomorrow or Thursday. We got plenty of time.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you guys